Hello, everybody. It's AJ Pushback Darkness. It is an awesome day, but the world is crumbling around us. We as believers are the ones that need to bring the light, the truth. We need to be salt. We need to be the ones that bring the gospel to others. Tell them about Yeshua. I have a few things I wanted to share with you today. Some interesting stuff that I saw online. And while I don't take all of this as gospel, but it is interesting and it does direct me on ways to pray and opens my eyes to different things that are going on in the world. Some people are like, why do you watch so much news? Why do you bring in so much information? And a lot of that is because I just really want to know how the Lord is doing things in different areas. I wish there was, like we have YouTube and we have all the different social media platforms. I wish there was a God information channel. Like if you had the Lord moving in a certain area in Africa, and there was just amazing things going on, that people would be able to put that news up there. There are a few organizations like Charisma Magazine, CBN News. Sometimes they'll try to do some of that, but I wish there was like a bullet point, what's happening every day. A miracle just happened, or Holy Spirit did this in some place, but alas, we don't have that at the moment. Interesting today, I discovered a few days back, obviously it was the blood moon, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of talk online about end times, a lot of talk about rapture. I'm not sure what your beliefs are in regards to that. Check the word. Some people believe there's going to be a rapture of the church before the tribulation. Some believe it's going to be in the middle. Some believe it's going to be in the end. Me, myself, I believe it's going to be at the beginning, or before the tribulation. And we have a pastor in South Africa that preaches to tens of thousands of people. And he has come out and said that he was told by the Holy Spirit that the rapture is going to be September 23rd or 24th, which, don't pack your bags because we don't need to take anything with us. But personally, I would love for it to be on the 23rd or 24th. But I also sit there and know that Jesus himself, Yeshua himself, said that it will not be anything that we know. In fact, he didn't even know it, and only the Father knows. So how a South African pastor got this information, Matthew 24:36, only the Father knows. So, that is one of those things. It's also it's a very cool thing. President Trump, for those of you who have been watching kind of the news that he has been doing things lately, he's been very bold about things in regards to kingdom, Yeshua, church, conservatism. I mean, it has been, now, I am not saying that he is in any way, shape, or form a perfect person. I'm not saying I look to him to save this country. Only Yeshua can do that. And one of the things that President Trump did do that I'm like, hey, if you're going to do something good, if it's going to honor God, if it's going to honor, what the church is doing, then hey, I will mention it. But President Trump, he was speaking at the Museum of the Bible. So the fact that he went there, I don't think there's been any other presidents that have leaned the other direction, that have gone to anything like that. And he urged Americans to hold weekly prayer gatherings as the U.S. approaches its 250-year anniversary, which that's pretty cool. I don't remember the last president that ever said, hey, you should be praying every single week. So I'm like, okay, thank you, President Trump. No, he's not a perfect guy. No, a lot of times, a lot of stuff that he does, I shake my head. I'm like, what are you doing? But hey, if you're going to say to somebody out there, you should be praying, you should be in the Lord's presence once a week, okay, let's go with that idea. This raises a question, though. I know a lot of people start thinking, should there be that kind of church involvement in politics? Sure, there should. That's how our forefathers designed it. Actually, it was the opposite of the way a lot of people think, especially liberal minds, but it was supposed to be separation of church and state, meaning that the state would be separated from the church and the foundational beliefs of what this country was founded on. Not that the state would have the overall emphasis and the church would be pushed down and be the small end of that. So there is a court case, and it is the possibility now that a court case nationally, it could go to the Supreme Court, and the court case is supposed to possibly allow for churches at this point to begin to endorse candidates. Now, I don't know what you feel about that. There's a lot of talk after church. People are like, talking about things. But I have both conservative and liberal friends who are believers. And ultimately, I just hope that everybody's just praying and seeking the Lord on who they should vote for or how they should be doing things. I don't want to even talk about the whole political idea, but if your pastor believes in a person, should they be allowed to speak about that from the pulpit? I think they should. We get enough speaking of one way or the other outside. But would that divide a church? It could. It could. So you think he should have the right to do that? I think we live in a free country. I believe he should. Maybe put down in the comments. But do you think that would cause more problems? Would you push half of your congregation away? So that's a possibility. And if that's the case, is it worth it? So I think he should, just based on, the rights of everybody to be able to speak what they want. But then again, from a pastoral point of view, what if that you declaring that I believe this person A and not B, and then the people that really want B now, do you ostracize them? Do they feel uncomfortable? Do they feel left out? Everything's very political nowadays, and we don't want to push sheep away because we have chosen one candidate or another. So there's that as well. So what are your thoughts on that? And then we're also looking at, there was a claim the other day. There's been a lot of information about President Biden in the last administration, and how there was some FBI reports that show that the Biden administration was systematically biased against Christians, citing the FBI actions against Catholic groups and policy decisions. Why? Why would they do that? I have no idea why they would do that. Yeah, the understanding of government wanting to control things and direct people in a certain way, but why would you want to silence Christians? Why wouldn't you want to silence Catholics? It's one of those things that makes you sit there and think, has our government gotten to the point where it has gotten so inflated and it believes that it is the way, the truth, and the life comes from the government, which is not true. The people are losing the ability to make their own choices, which is crazy. And some of you may have heard about Forrest Frank. Now, if you haven't heard about Forrest Frank, you must have been living under a rock. Just kidding. Probably not. But Forrest Frank is one of the biggest of this time right now. He's probably one of the biggest Christian artist singers. I'm not sure what rank he is in regards to his number one songs or something, but he's very, very, very popular right now. So if you Google him and you check out Forrest Frank and you listen to some of his stuff, my wife is digging on his music now, which is he's a great singer. He's got a great vibe and sound. He's all about God and all about Jesus. And there's two interesting things I wanted to bring up. And I think it's an encouragement for us as believers to take the things that God has given you, that are your gifts and your talents, and to honor God with it. Forrest Frank obviously is doing all he can to honor the Lord. He's very vocal about loving God and about serving Yeshua. And one of the things that he is gifted in, obviously, is music. And the cool thing about it is his music is starting to break into secular hit charts, and people are starting to hear that. So how does God connect the dots with all this? He takes a Christian artist who is very good and very talented, who is willing to give all glory and praise to God, and then he is allowing him to transition his following into some secular artist groups and billboards and whatever charts that they do, and then people are starting to hear him on normal radio, whatever that looks like nowadays. I don't listen to normal radio. And the cool thing is, those people begin to listen to more of his stuff or see his shorts on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram, and they begin to hear again and again. Well, here's the cool thing, and it's not a cool start, but it's one of those things that as God allows us to go through something, God will turn things that the devil would seek to cause harm or bad, and God will turn it into good. So Forrest Frank actually broke his back, and he had all these x-rays done, and they had shown that, oh, there's a jet taking off. Sorry, I'm at the airport. If you hear that in the background, it's a jet. So Forrest Frank suffered a broken back and had x-rays and all this stuff done to show what his situation was laid up in bed. He's laid up in bed and he's praying for healing. Okay. God gives him healing. He writes a song while he's in bed, giving all praise and honor to God, even in the midst of the challenge and the trial. And they go and they do the x-rays again. No sign, no nothing of a broken back. Like, it's gone. Amazing testimony. I challenge you to go and, check out some videos on it. But the cool thing is God is using him to minister to non-believers. So an awesome thing. And I had a couple other things for you. So just real quick, did you know that there's a revival that's sweeping Brazil right now? It's awesome. 14,000 baptisms right now, Protestant baptisms that are happening in Brazil. These are people that are very heavy Catholic, but they have gone to a Protestant revival and are rededicating their lives back to God. And also they are putting themselves in a position where they're just like, wait a minute, there's something more and I want it, which is awesome. So revivals are happening everywhere. I wonder, even some of the articles and some of the videos that I'm seeing about colleges all over the United States and revivals happening everywhere. You tell me, post it down in the comments, have we seen the pendulum swing so dramatically away from God, and now it's beginning to come back because people are finding out all of the things that it swung to? They're like, you know what? There's no life, there's no hope, there's no peace, there's no love in those things. And they're coming back to the Lord and they're pouring out their hearts and they're saying, Lord, fill us, change us, revive us, it's been awesome.